So now I think that I should talk a little bit about how I had been blocked from IA investigations. And in order to actually have a complaint taken for an IA investigation. And I think in order to fully understand it, I think that I need to explain the Dolan situation. So, I had gotten a call about a situation where a police officer was doing a detail, and I was getting so many people saying different things and everything. So I figured, all right, to get to the bottom of it, I should get the police report to see what they're saying and how it all played out. But before I even got the police report, I started seeing videos, and I was being sent videos. And it was pretty disturbing. And I had actually made arrangements with Auditing America to go to City Hall and to talk about the 500 times that my son's file had been accessed. And instead of focusing on that, I brought to the council the fact that we had a police officer that was beating people in the city of Pawtucket, chokehold, the whole bit. And, explaining that there was video and a small child screaming and yelling that the person can't breathe. And it was pretty scary. And they just sat there looking like they don't care. But I had placed an IA complaint. I had contacted the mayor. I had contacted the chief of police, IA. And I think that it's important to note that I was being blocked from IA investigations. Like, there was no way they were going to take a complaint from me. There was absolutely no way. So, and you'll see. Well, maybe you won't see, but we're going to address it in court. Because, the city is worrying about their budget. But right now there's a $4 million lawsuit against the city. So, there were a couple of incidents with Daniel Dolan. Now, I know the name Dolan. Teddy Dolan was a very good friend of my dad's. But the problem is, no matter who it is, if they're doing wrong and they're hurting people, why would we want it to continue? Now, I didn't know what was going on with Daniel Dolan. I didn't know if maybe there was maybe an alcohol or a drug or something was going on, because this what I saw in this video was not normal. It was not normal. And so I brought it to everybody's attention that, something wasn't right here. And He had punched the guy in the face. It was terrible. And there was another video of him grabbing a woman inappropriately. And nothing was done. No IA complaint was taken. And that was it. That was it. That was the last anything was done. My going to them and explaining that, something's not right here. You have to look at this video. You have to see what's going on here. And Tina didn't care. Don Grabban didn't care. The council didn't care. IA didn't care. Frank Milos didn't care. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Nobody gave a shit. So, I don't know if it was 18 months later. I'm watching the news and seeing stuff on Facebook that a Pawtucket police officer has shot someone. And outside the city. And of course, everybody's waiting for the names to be released and, And there's a whole video on this about how it feels to know that this could have all been avoided. This all could have been avoided had anyone checked on Daniel Dolan. Find out what the hell's going on here. Why are we seeing videos like this? Why are you acting this way? And but because it was ignored, so they released the name, and my heart dropped. And you might look at me like, yeah, she's an asshole or whatever. It's because you don't know who I am. That situation bothered me so much that I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk. I was in shock. And when I say I got on my knees and thanked God, I got on my knees and thanked God that he did not kill that kid. Because being the person that pretty much drew the short straw to go in front of the council or whatever to bring this to the city's attention, I was ignored. And I to this day, I wonder if it's because I was put on ignore, that they didn't bother, or they just figured, well, she's just talking. You know what? One thing about me, I don't say something without a receipt. I had gotten those calls and everything, and it was only after I had the police report in my hand and I saw the videos that I actually said anything, that I actually brought it to anybody's attention about what he was doing to the minority community. But it was very emotional to know that I must have been the wrong person to bring it to their attention, because they ignored it and then a kid was shot. Now, if we had a strong police department, if we had strong command staff, we had a strong police chief, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. In fact, had they taken my complaint seriously and done anything about it, the city wouldn't be being sued right now. Because it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. So, when we're talking about complaints and not being taken, that was a very serious complaint. It was very serious. And to this day, my complaint has not been seen. Has not been seen. But the good part of, again, receipts is I have documented proof. Remember that Auditing America that was going to City Hall that day with me? That video, I have no idea how many views it's gotten, but gotten a lot of views where I brought it to the attention of the city. I brought it to the attention of the police chief, IA, Frank Milos, all of them. And it was ignored. So the city is being sued for $4 million on that one. Can you imagine? Now, here's the thing. Now, everybody thinks that I am so against Daniel Dolan or the Pawtucket Police Department or whatever. Hey, I'm the first one to say sometimes people need help. They need help, whether it would be with alcohol or drugs or whatever. And at that time that he was lashing out to on the community and all that, had he gotten, pulled to the side and said, hey, what's going on here? Do you need some time off? Do you need some help? Maybe my city wouldn't be being sued for $4 million. Don Greppian, he ignored it. He couldn't have cared any less about it. And I'm sure that when that was brought to the city's attention and everything, and if they had gotten, involved, maybe things would have ended up different. I'm sure that family, that kid that was shot, I'm sure they're wishing that things were different. I guarantee it. So with the receipts of every avenue that I went to get anybody to take an IA investigation, and they didn't, or to get anybody to do something. I mean, I went in front of the council. I showed them the picture of this man that was beat by a Pawtucket police officer. And it's like crickets. So, am I against Daniel Dolan? Well, I think he was done wrong by the city. I do. Because when those complaints were coming in, someone should have stopped him in his tracks and said, listen, do you have a problem? Is there something going on? Why are you doing this? Instead of just allowing it to continue. So, when I ask how many lawsuits have come about since Tina Gonzalez has become chief, there's one $4 million one right there. $4 million. How do you explain that one? How do you explain that away? When you were warned that there was a problem. You were warned. It's on YouTube. You have emails. You have phone calls. You were being warned that there was a problem. Months later, this is what we're looking at. And what this poor kid has suffered because nobody in this fucking city listened. Not one of them. Not the mayor, not the chief of police, not Sean Driscoll, not Frank Milos, nobody, the whole council. I stood before the council. And they all just, look, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. But you know when they did care? They cared when he was suspended with pay, without pay, and then the Leobor hearing. They were, that's when they started asking questions. The council, all of a sudden, they were like, oh, well, what's the progression with the Leobor? Are we going to be updated? You know what? You fucking bastards that fucking sat there and fucking listened while I was asking for fucking help to avoid the situation. Everybody was silent. Then he shoots a kid. There's Leobor and everything else. And now all of a sudden, are we going to be updated on that situation? Wouldn't have been a situation if you didn't fucking ignore it. You bunches of pieces of shit. And what that poor kid has been through. Shame. Shame on all of them. Everybody that knew that he was a problem, shame on all of you. Because you have that kid's blood on your hands. And thank God. And I've said this. Tina definitely needed to get on her knees and thank God that he didn't kill that kid, knowing what she knew. So that's the first IA investigation that they didn't do, that they ignored, and there's more. We're going to continue on